Okay, let's just forget about those old, dusty rule books for a minute. Today, we're going to talk about something, well, something like an invisible superpower. It's the thing that's quietly driving every single successful career out there. And don't worry, this isn't some boring lecture. We're diving into what might just be your most powerful and most overlooked tool for success.
So let me ask you something. Think about the most successful people you know. I mean, really successful. What is it about them? It's not just talent, right? It's not just raw skill. There's something else, some quality that gives them real staying power. The answer? Well, it might not be what you think, and it's the key to everything we're going to get into today.
That thing? It's professional ethics. Now, hold on, I know what you're thinking. Ethics, that sounds boring. But trust me, don't think of it as a bunch of stiff rules. It's more like the fundamental operating system for your entire career. Yeah, you heard that right. It's the invisible code running in the background that makes all your other skills, your talent, your genius, actually work the way they're supposed to.
Here's a cool way to picture it. Imagine your career is this massive skyscraper you're building. Your skills, your ambition, that's the concrete and the steel. That's the cool stuff. But ethics, that's the scaffolding. It might not be the prettiest part, but it's the structure holding everything together as you build higher and higher. Without it, well, you can imagine what happens. The whole thing could come crashing down.
So, where do we even start with this stuff? It's simple, really. It starts with you. Before we can even get into the nitty-gritty of the workplace, we have to talk about the absolute bedrock of it all, your own personal integrity.
You know, a compass is probably the best way to think about integrity. It's like your own internal guide, your moral true north. No matter what's going on around you, no matter the pressure, it keeps you pointed in the right direction, making sure your actions line up with what you truly believe. Okay, so what do we actually mean when we say integrity? Well, the sources we looked at boil it down to being truthful, consistent, and morally upright. And I want you to focus on that word, consistent. That's the secret sauce right there. Because integrity isn't something you can just turn on and off. It's about who you are all the time. And here it is, maybe the simplest and most powerful definition you'll ever hear. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. It's not about the performance, it's about what you do in the quiet moments. That's the real test, isn't it? So this whole idea is held up by four main pillars. First, you've got truthfulness. That's just basic honesty. Then there's transparency, which means being open, not hiding what you're really up to. Consistency, we already talked about how crucial that is. Your values don't change just because things get tough. And then there's courage. And man, that's the hard one. It's about having the guts to stand up for what's right, especially when it's easier not to. Okay, so we've got that personal foundation laid down. Now let's start building on it. We're going to make a little shift here, from who you are as a person to what you do in a professional setting. We're stepping out of personal integrity and into the world of work ethics. This is where integrity stops being just a personal thing and starts getting practical, right? Work ethics? It's like the shared blueprint for a whole team or a company. It's how you make sure that big ideas like fairness, honesty, and accountability aren't just posters on a wall. They're actually built into how everyone gets their job done, day in and day out.
So, if we're going to get a little formal, work ethics is basically that shared set of moral principles. But I like to think of it as the glue. It's the stuff that takes a bunch of random individuals and turns them into a real, cohesive team. It's what builds discipline, dedication, and that feeling that you're all in it together. Now, this next part is huge because people mix these two up all the time, responsibility versus accountability. See, responsibility is about the task. You were told to do something and you did it, check the box. But accountability, that's about the outcome. It's about owning the final result, whether it was a huge success or a total mess. So responsibility is doing your part. Accountability is stepping up and saying, yeah, that was on me. All right, so we've covered the personal side and the professional side. Now, let's zoom the camera way out, because this isn't just about you or your job. These principles create a ripple effect, one that goes way, way beyond the walls of the office.
Think about what happens inside a company that gets this right. Ethical behavior, it's a total game changer. It builds trust, it builds respect, it makes sure things are done fairly. But maybe the biggest thing it does is create what experts call psychological safety. And that's just a fancy way of saying it creates a place where people feel safe enough to speak up, to share a crazy idea, or even to admit they messed up without being afraid they'll get slammed for it.
And here's the kicker. This isn't some fluffy, feel-good stuff. This directly impacts the bottom line. It's all about performance. When people feel valued, when they feel safe, they're more motivated, they're more focused. And get this, they make way fewer mistakes. So yeah, ethics is actually a performance enhancer. Who knew?
And that ripple effect we talked about, it just keeps spreading outwards. You get stronger teams, which build better, more productive companies. And those better companies, they actually help create a healthier society. Our sources call it fostering civic virtue, which is basically just good citizenship in action. It's that shared sense of we're all in this together that helps a whole community thrive.
Okay, theory is awesome, but it's just theory, right? So the big question is, how does this actually work in the real world? Let's get down to brass tacks and talk about how you can actually apply this stuff every day.
It's one thing to know all this in your head, but it's a whole other ballgame to actually do it. This right here is the most important step, turning these ideas into real-world actions.
So where does the rubber meet the road? Well, if you're a leader, it's about setting an example. When you're making a tough call, it's about choosing the right path, not just the easy one. In your everyday tasks, it's about a real commitment to doing quality work. And when arguments happen, and they will, it's about finding a solution that's fair for everyone. That's what ethics in action looks like.
All right, let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. Think of it like this. Integrity is your foundation. Honesty is what builds the bridge of trust to other people. Your work ethic is the engine that drives your success, and accountability is what makes sure you're always learning and improving. You put all that together, you get an environment where not just you, but everyone around you can really, truly thrive. So I want to leave you with one last question to chew on. Sure, a really skilled person might be able to get ahead for a little while without a strong ethical core, but can they build true, lasting success? The kind of success that earns respect. Can you really build something amazing on a shaky foundation? That's something for you to think about. Thanks for tuning in.